All right, thank you very much,
Okay.
Thank you, Puan Hasriza, and thank you to PLH for inviting me for the what you call it, the sharing experience. Okay, the topic today that I'm going to share with you all is about the empowering academic competitiveness to research publications. And I believe this is the initiative made by the PLH, Pelakon Lama Hikmah, during the Research Support Week 2025 this week. I think as for introduction, let me just introduce myself. As we can see from here, number one, I'm now a Deputy Vice Chancellor for Research and Innovation, starting from March 2025. And from number, yeah, let me check. Let me switch the screen. Otherwise, I have to face the other angle. Okay, now it's better. As we can see from here, Head of Center of Excellence, Coordinator or Manager of Set 3 at the faculty, and I got the opportunity to be the Deputy Dean for Academic and Head of Department. All is the administrative positions. And number 7, I did my research attachment at TMRND starting from July 2014 until February 2015. And for your information, especially for the new staff, perhaps we have a young researcher here, and also our friend. I joined UTM since April 2020, 2002 until now. Before that, I worked at ST Microelectronics as a product and test engineer starting from March 1998 until April 2002. And I did it just a little bit achievement at the faculty, at the university level, what you call it, undergrad academic university, or in short, we call AAU. This recognition, where at the time was handled by KAIS, uh, I got the recognition based on the what you call it, the article journal publications, as well as the research award recognition. And also in 2021, I was awarded as a top research scientist in Malaysia by Academy of Science Malaysia by MOSTI. This is just a big introduction so that we got the idea about my background. Basically, today's talk, I want to share about my personal experience, that the main thing. The only thing when we're talking about the personal experience, it depending on the individu, right? Depending on depending on the individu. Dia maksudnya we cannot say that uh, my experience can be copied by the other. It depending on the details and also the activity that we are going to carry out. However, if you find some beneficial of my sharing today, I think you can take that activities or my suggestion or advice for you to emulate, or for you to do your own later on. So since we are talking about the publication, so we need to also to talk about the research grants and also the postgraduate supervisions. Publication alone without the research grant and also the student, especially for the postgraduate student, we are unable to produce impact factor, or what you call it, the impactful publications. So the topic that I'm going to share today is not only about the publication, it's also to have a good student. The student can be from our final year project at the bachelor degree program or at the master's or PhD level. In addition of that, I'd like to share about how we can encourage a growth mindset. What does it mean by the growth mindset is that we believe that the writing and publishing skill can be learned. It's, even though we don't have the skill, we don't have the talent, but we can learn and we can learn on how to write a good article journal and how to publish that paper that we have done the writing. The growth mindset also we can, of course, we submit our grant application, for example, FRGS, PRGS, and now today there's a news from CRIM, there's opening for LRGS. Without fear, we need to submit to that grant. Whether they accepted or rejected, we don't mind. So we view grant injection as a chance to improve. Right? Similarly, when we submit a article journal, we cannot guarantee whether our article journal can be accepted or not, or rejected. So we need to view that rejection as a chance to improve. As for students, we also need to encourage students to persist to academic hurdles, especially when we're talking about the research student at the master level or PhD level. And then, of course, we need to accept failure is part of the research journey, especially when we got a letter from the publisher that our paper has been rejected or has not been considered to be published in that particular journal. So we need to accept that failure. So in order to have what you call it, the competitiveness in academic, so if we have gone through all these activity, we have gone through all the steps. For me, I started my career as a tutor, later on as a lecturer, then a senior lecturer, associate professor, and finally a professor. So we need to have a quality academic competitiveness. When we're talking about the competitiveness, we need also to have our visibility in research. People, not only in Malaysia, globally, they will see our presence in that particular field. In my case, my research is about the microwave engineering, radio frequency and microwave. They want to see the visibility of my publications. Not only my publications, and also the citation of my publications. That's what we call the visibility. The visibility can be in the form of the individual, and can be in the form of institutional. What I mean by at the UTM level lah. And also by having a good publication, a track record in our research, we will be able to attract a grant either at the national level or at the international level. And then we also have the opportunity to survive good and quality postgraduate students. That I will share with you later on. And at the end of the day, the benefit that we have based on our competitiveness in publication, for example, not only can help ourselves as an individual per se, but it will also improve the university reputation and ranking. Especially now we are talking about the QS ranking or the THE ranking. The work or the publication that we carry out or the research activity that we conducted, including the publication, will also support the university in terms of the reputation and ranking. Not only for the individual contribution. This is basically what we call the academic ladder. As I mentioned to you, I started my career at UTM with the lecturer, and in 2004, I started my career at UTM as tutor here lah. And then after I completed my master, I got promoted to lecturer DS45 at that time. And then after I secured my PhD in 2011, I got promoted to senior lecturer. And 3 years later, I got promoted as associate professor or DS54. And 2018, second 2018, okay, I got promoted as a full professor. So this is our ladder as academician. So actually, everyone can climb this ladder from lecturer to professor. the benefit I try to mix between the English and Malay. I try to make joke with my friends sometime before I joined UTM, I was working at industry. Sometimes it's difficult to climb the ladder in industry unless our boss retired or pass away. However, in university actually we don't have such limitation or quota. Everyone they have the equal, I mean, opportunity to climb their career. Of course, we need to fulfill certain KPI. We need to achieve certain achievement and so on. Right? But there is no limitation as accumulation to climb the ladder. Okay, in terms of academic pillars, I think we all know about our roles as academic. First, we have the teaching and learning. This one, actually, this one has been, I mean, is a mandatory, is our hakiki lah, teaching and learning. Normally, teaching and learning, we don't ask for it. The faculty, the head department will appoint certain courses for us to teach, whether for the lecture or for the lab. And here on the yellow one, services to university or service to faculty or service to the government or ministry. For example, we hold certain positions, we hold certain jawatankuasa, coordinator and so on. Those are our service to the university, for example. Yang tu kena jugalah, if we don't hold certain position, university tak boleh bergerak. Kalau tak ada jawatan, tak ada coordinator, there's no penyelahas, there's no jawatankuasa, no head of department, university cannot move. So we need to support university in terms of services to the universities. The thing that I'm going to touch today is about the R&D pillars. And pillars is about we are talking about publication, the research grant, supervision. Supervision can be from the FYP student, in addition of the master student as well as the PhD student. And then for extras, we can also do consultancy, commercialization, or intellectual property. Property can be for licensing and so on. These are the pillar, basically the pillar for research and development. So this is the thing that I'm going to share with you all, how we can adjust ourselves in order to fulfill requirement for the research and development. Since today we are talking about mainly for the publication and a bit on the research grant and a bit on the supervision, basically I will focus with these three components, publication, a bit on the research grant, and also the publication is supervision. This is a bit about myself, because we are going. I'm not going to show off on whatsoever lah, bukan nak menunjuk ke apa, because this is based on our own experience, pengalaman saya. So basically, I need to show the thing that I have achieved as evidence for me to share with you all. Actually, this snapshot just copy and paste from Scopus database today, this morning. So if you look at you can go to Scopus website, and then you can go to UTM, and then from UTM you can click the author for that for the publication. This is my profile in the Scopus database, and for your information, at this moment I have 442 documents. The document can be in the form of article journal, number one. Number two, it can be in the form of proceeding. Number three can be in the form of book chapters or lecture notes. And number fifth can be in the form of editorials, activities. Up to date, I got the Aishi Index, about 28. This is not the thing that I'm going to share to you, but you can see the trend. Yeah, if you still remember, I completed my PhD in December 2010. I completed my PhD, and then I came back and daftar dekat bahagian cuti belajar somewhere in December. December 2010 should be here, if mistaken. Still zero. I started my journey in research once I completed my PhD. When I did my PhD at Leeds University at the time, this is my PhD at Leeds University. It's quite different when we do our PhD at Malaysia. For example, we know as a PhD student, especially in UTM, we got to publish minimum one article journal and one proceeding. Betul kan? When I did my PhD at Leeds UK at the time, we didn't talk about the publication. My supervisor didn't discuss. You need to publish this. You need to publish that. We don't know that. I don't know. I didn't know about the WAS and Scopus at that time, because that's not the culture in my school at that time, in the Institute of Microwave and Photonics, Institute of Leeds at that time. We didn't talk about the WAS publication and also the scope publication. They asked me to do the experiment and complete my thesis. And of course, once toward the end of my PhD, my supervisor asked me to write a paper to be presented in a conference in US at the time. They call it IMS, International Microwave Symposium. I still remember at the time, 2008. I got the opportunity to go to US at the time, 2008. Tapi I unable to went to US at the time lah, because kebetulan wife tu tengah pregnant, nak deliver baby somewhere in June 2008. Jadi supervisor saya yang pergi. I just prepared that manuscript for that particular conference. I didn't know the setting of the conference. Even my supervisor didn't inform me the conference is a flagship and high reputation conference. I only know when the paper got the submission, when my friend informed me, oh, congratulations Zahil, your paper has been accepted in very good conference. Only that I know. The conference is a high profile and flagship conference. But at the time I didn't know about the Scopus and WAS. That was 2010 and before. After I returned to UTM, to be specific, in 2011, only that time I know, oh, there are indexing body for journal publication. We have Scopus and WAS. At the time we didn't call it WAS, we call it ISI journal. Siapa orang lama tahulah apa tu ISI. But now we are talking about Web of Science lah. Masa tu lah, I attended some trainings and courses. At that time was conducted by KRIM. Pernah lah I went to Unimap, I went to UTM just to learn about on how we can prepare a good manuscript for journal, impact factor journal, for example. When I came back from Beijing, only then I learned about the journal publication. That was in 2011. After that, you can see the trend: 2011, 12, 2012, 13, 14, 15, 17, 18, something. 18 here. So you can see the trend is linear lah. The increment is linear at that time. Because one I got published in 2011, when we got the publication in 2011, I feel I got some positive vibe or momentum to do it again and again at that time. That's why you can see the positive or linear increment from 2011 up to 2018, if they can somewhere year 18 lah, after year 2025. I got the motivation actually from Professor Uda from Unimap. I still remember somewhere in March 2011. I think three of us are from FKK at the time. We went to Unimap in Perlis. We had a discussion with Pak Buddha, and then he gave some motivational words. As a researcher, as a academician, we don't have choice. We need to publish. You can start with the normal journal. Even though at the time he advised me, you can start with the Google Scholar, and then once you know the trick and also the tips, and then you can improve the publication to Scopus and was. It was me at that time, until I got promoted to 2018, and then I try to focus on the good and impact factor journal lah. That's why the quantity decrease, but at the time I try to focus on the quality journal. After I got the tip and trick, and also I got I was, even though now I'm fortunate to have a good student to work with me together to publish and to produce a good research output, as well as to produce good article journals. I also have my postdoc at that time. I don't know whether he's here or not, Dr. Ahmad Jamal. Now he's working as a lecturer, a senior lecturer at FTK. We work together at the time between this period. As you can see now, I don't go for numbers. We work together. Even though at this moment I don't go for when talking about the seriousness in publication, I don't too serious now to publish in term of number or whatsoever lah. However, I still got my student, and also I have the collaboration with whether with my Dr. Ahmad Jamal, for example, and my colleague either in Malaysia or overseas, internationally, we would still work together. So there's a momentum. So the effort or the action is very minimum because the momentum is still there. So as we can see, that's why we can observe the graph now is consistent, about 25, 27, and this year, I think up to June, if I'm second, me and also our collaborator, myself, plus the collaborator published to managed to publish about 12 manuscript, including article journal and also the conference. Yeah, this is myself, my friend. So what I'm trying to say is that to start with on our publication, you can start either you want to go for quality or you want to go for quantity, up to you. But you need to have, the limit. In my case, once I know the tip and trick, and then I know I don't go for quantity, and then that's my limit. That's why I try to reduce. I don't care about the numbers now. Now I'm trying to focus on the quality journal. That's my approach at that time and now lah. For you, it depends on you. What is your strength? If you are able to publish a good journal in Q1 and Q2, go for it. If if you are still struggling to publish journal, go for Scopus. That's my advice lah. At the bottom, we can see for the Google Scholar, it's almost the same trend, Google Scholar, between Google Scholar and also Scopus. Again, when we're talking about our profile in Scopus, for example, it's not only benefit to us, it also will benefit to our university. When we're talking in the the bigger picture or bigger perspective, when we're talking about the university ranking and rating, so our profile, our citation will also help university in terms of university citation and the university hash index. So journey as a researcher, how we begin our research journey. To me, I started my research journey when I did my PhD lah. Somewhere in 2006 up to 2010. That's my turning point for research. how I managed to develop independent thinking. Because to develop independent is very important. My supervisor at that time, Professor Ian Hunter, always comment to me for the first 6 months, Zahir, you need to develop your independent thinking. Don't just rely on me to make decision. You need to have knowledge. You need to have some sort of what you call it, IQ and also EQ. And at the end of the day, the PhD is yours. So you need to have your own decision for your PhD. That's what we call the independent thinking. So when I got comment from my supervisor at the time, also it reflected me, so that I try to see myself as a researcher. And then we need to know the turning point in our academic career. We need to find out. To me, when I did my PhD, I know I was sponsored at the time UTM and also KPT sponsored me up. I think it's taken about 500,000, 500,000, 500,000 plus at that time, because I brought my family to UK. Dia to me 500,000, of course lah kalau medic student kan, kalau degree kat UK tu 1 million plus. But for PhD myself, I calculated the amount that the government spend the money on me about 500,000. Actually for not, it's not government money, it's rakyat money kan, duit rakyat. So that make me think also what is my contribution. So ya, saya tak nak cerita lagi benda ni pada semua. Tapi ada time terfikir, apa aku nak buat ni kalau habis PhD, kan? Takkan dapat PhD kerja biasa saja, mengajar, itu saja. So, what is your turning point? So, my turning time, I want to contribute back to universities and to government lah, to rakyat. Tapi how we want to contribute back to the institute and rakyat? To research at the time. Research can be in the form of publication, can be in the form of the community services. Our research can also be used in industry and our community. That's our role as a researcher or academician to contribute back to institute and to our nation lah. Sama ada kita publish paper, itu just part of them lah. Apa yang penting, the impact from the publication, the impact from our research activity boleh dimanfaatkan, can be used by the community or industry. Itu yang at the end of the day yang kita nak tahu apa impact research kita. Itu my first turning point lah. The second turning point, when I met few mentors, as mentioned, from UDA and so on, they give some advice. Even though at the time when I discussed with you at the time, just a casual discussion, tapi deep inside my heart, there's a one word, a few words lah from UDA who touched my heart. When I went back to UTM, I tried to work harder lah. Especially as an academician, we need to fulfill our roles, not only for teaching and learning, and also for research and development. Of course, early challenges, cabaran, dugaan memang ada. Tapi on how we survive, on how we overcome them is more important. And from then we can learn, either we learn from our mentor or we have our teamwork, and then we can discuss and on how the most important thing, of course, once we got PhD, for example, pengalaman saya, in my experience, 3 years or 4 years PhD journey, actually doing the PhD, ada banyak halangan, ada banyak dugaan, cabaran lah, on how we survive during PhD, actually. I think that one as a survival skill can also be used in our life. Termasuklah selepas habis PhD. Itu yang saya fikirkan lah. And then we try to turn challenges into momentum. Of course, we had the initial struggles. And then what sparked your turning point? For example, our first publication in Q1 journal, sparked our turning point. and then we need to have the continuous learning. And one more thing, as a researcher, we do things not only just to meet KPIs. Yalah, saya kadang-kadang ada juga sembang bergurau dengan kawan-kawan di kafe. Dia tanya berapa paper dah publish. Saya cakap baru 5. Cukup lah tu, KPI dah ada dah. Maksudnya when we do things, we don't do for the sake of KPI. We want to do because we want to do it. Itu yang saya cuba tanamkan dalam fikiran saya. We do because we want to do it. It's not just for the sake of KPI. Memang KPI tu penting, tapi it's not just for KPI. We want to do it. We like to do it. We passionate to do it. When we have that attitude, we can go beyond KPIs. We can go beyond the expectation by the university or by the KPT and so on. We try to have that kind of mindset. Yang ni saya cuma share lah. Yang ni just example. We receive the rejection. Actually I submitted this journal in IEEE assess. In under IEEE. I think now it was Q1, now Q2 in second. In March 2025, I got a reply or response from IEEE assess mentioning that your manuscript has not been recommended for publication in IEEE assess. Unfortunately, we will not accept resubmission for the article. I see some sort of rejection. So jangan sedih, normal kena reject tu normal dalam research. Sama ada we got rejection from journal publisher or we got rejection from the migrant FIGS. Rejection tu normal. Macam mana kita bangkit balik, macam mana how we what you call it, we try to respond to the rejection in a positive way lah. To me, I always advise my student, if you got the rejection, don't worry. Try to improve and submit to other journal. There are thousands of journal available out there. Don't worry. This journal is just one of them. The most important thing, what are the comments made by the reviewers? The comment is very important to me. So the comment from the reviewer can be used to improve our research, our finding, or our discussion, our methodology, especially when we're talking about master by research or PhD research. Sometimes the view from the supervisor is not sufficient. Sometimes the view from the co-supervisor is not sufficient. So how to get other views? So the best way, we try to submit a good journal. When we submit to a good journal, of course, we receive comment. So we need to have open heart, open-minded to receive those comments. Sometimes the comment quite cruel, agak ganas juga lah. But we got to accept that. So my advice, actually, to myself, when I completed my PhD, I'm no longer a pure researcher. I changed my cap as a research manager lah. We just as a lecturer actually, we are managing research activities. What activities for research? We have students, we have lectures, we have research grant. What we call we have community services, we have industry collaboration. So we need to manage these activities. The research itself can be conducted by the research students, for example, masters and PhD. Some friends ask me, can we have FYP student as a research student? Yes, we can, but the level or the depth of the research must be adequate for that particular FYP level. Janganlah bagi topik FYP macam masters ataupun PhD. So we need to balance. Sebab ada staff dia tak ada master student dan PhD student. Jadi macam mana nak buat research, macam mana nak publish paper. So we need to utilize the FYP student. For example, we have 4 students. We try to have big topic, divided into 4 smaller topic, and then we need to coach and mentor them appropriately lah, so that they are able to produce uh the outcome, significant outcome, so that the outcome can be used as a data for our publications. So I see myself as a manager, as a lecturer. This is my supervisor, my mentor, Professor Yahnanta. This is he is the person who didn't care about the publication actually. Even though when I proposed one draft to be submitted to good journals, no, it's okay. Just focus on your PhD. Just focus on your thesis. I don't crazy about the publication. So managing journals and processing papers. So this is basically the flow before we manage to publish papers. On the right is the output papers. On the left is the input. The input is very important. You can see the input is students or GRA or RA. The student can be from PhD students, master student, FYP students. So students are very important. Student sangat penting. Bagi saya, student sangat penting. Kena ada juga student. Kalau tak ada master student, you don't have master student, if you don't have PhD student, at least you try to have a good FYP student to assist you in doing research. And then later on, you try to build your profile, you try to build your reputation on how from FYP student, you need to encourage them for them to continue their study for master level or PhD level. This is very important. If there's no input, we had difficulty to produce the output. That's the things. The student is very important. And then the student will want the project either based on the design, simulation, and experiment. And then they got the data and they analyze the data and then they formulate the data and they compile the data into papers, and at the end of the day we had the papers lah. So again, student very important. As a researcher, as a academic staff, we need to have students. And in addition of student, we need to have support from grant. Grant can be from MOHE, KPT, mostly industry or international, etc. Try to get grants. Masa mula-mula 2011 until 2016, I submit any proposal to any grant. I prepare proposals for any grant, either for internal grant, MOHE, MOSTI, industry submit je. In one stage, in one phase, one time, I got more than 2 or 3 grant, either from university, for MOHE, and for MOSTI, 3 grant. But you know, there is a quota for MOHE especially, and for MOSTI. So at the time, I just draw a proposal. I got the proposal. I asked my friend, can you be the PI for this grant? I want to apply for MOHE. Of course, I asked them whether they want to submit to FIGS or eSign at that time. So he said he didn't want to. He didn't have any intention to submit to FIGS or eSign. So I discussed with him. Why not? I have proposal. Can we discuss, we collaborate so that you can submit, and then once we got the grant, and then we can work together. So we try our best to get the grant, because the grant is very important for us to have the fund, especially to do our simulation experiment, and also to support our GRA, and also to support our paper lah. Cuma sekarang ni CRIM they provide the feed APC kan for papers either 1,500 or 5,000 for Q1 Q2. So that are the initiative made by the university to support our academic staff in publishing paper. So this is some of my students. So at this moment, these are the students. Either I'm the main supervisor or the co-supervisor. Up to December 2024, I graduated 17 PhD students. 13 of them are as a main supervisor. As for master research, 14. I also have students from MMU and also UKM lah. So again, student is very important for us to work together, especially in research. And once we have students, we need to coach them, and we need to mentor them. I mean, we need to, unlike when I did my PhD, the solution style by Professor Hunter at the time is quite loose, like loose provision. That's the style for UK. I cannot do that style of approach at UTM. We need to at UTM, especially if we have students from local, especially also from foreign. We need to have a very close supervision in order to support the student. So these are the first and second student, PhD student, Amirul, when he got the, what you call it, the Chancellor Award, the first Chancellor Award. He the one who managed to convert his masters to PhD student. And Sharif Ahmad, he did masters at UTM. He got the, what you call, the Pro Chancellor Award and Best Research Award. Masa tu tak ada limit. Mungkin terlalu pandang. Sebab tu student yang boleh dapat 2 award sekali lah, Pro Chancellor dan Best Research Award. But sekarang kita nak bagi peluang pada student yang lain. That's why one student normally can only obtain 1 award lah. So the important of the student. The student is not just for granted. We got the student just not for granted. We need to work together with student. We need to support student. We need to advise student. We need to guide student properly. If they have talent, we try to guide them so that they can achieve beyond the expectation lah. So this is last year. Shah Alam, he graduated from UTM at the faculty at PhD level. To 2024, he got, what you call it, Chancellor Award. Chancellor Award last year. He did PhD in 2 years and 6 months. Okay, we open for any question lah. If possible, we can do a two-way communication. Kalau interaction, just interrupt me. You got any question, just interrupt me. We can discuss it. I think this, why do we publish? I think we know about this. This is just for your question, of course, to either to disseminate knowledge and then to support university ranking. At the national level, we are talking about the KPI, KPI or MyRA. MyRA is Malaysia Assessment for the sake of the, yes? Ada soalan ke? Okay, and then for academic profile, CV, resume, and so on. So these are, why do we publish? We need to have our why. Why I need to publish? Depending on our interest. And then the strategy in general application, whether we go for quantity versus quality, it depends on us. As I said earlier, first, since I didn't have any experience in publishing journal, when I completed my PhD end of 2010, I started with the normal journal, Scopus-based or Scopus Index journal. I started with the quantity, and later on, I changed my approach to the quality journal up to now. Index journal versus non-index journals, I advise you to go for minimum Scopus lah. Scopus index journal, even though now we also allow for ERA publication, but ERA actually is non-index journal. ERA is just a listing used by the Australian research assessment. That's what we call ERA. It's not indexing body, ERA. So indexing body is like Scopus and WS. So I suggest you try your best to publish minimum Scopus or WS. And later on, you try to, once you manage to penetrate a good journal normally, you will get a good citation from other researchers who cite your work. The citation normally, if you have a good citation, you need to publish in good journal, Q1 and Q2. If you don't play the citation number lah. You want to have the citation increment organically or naturally. So we need to publish in good journal, Q1 and Q2, because normally people only cite other papers from Q1 and Q2 journal. Even we ourselves, we publish paper, we try to have our references at the back, at the end of the paper. Hopefully, most of the paper must be come from a good journal, credible journal. When we're talking about Q1 and Q2, it's about the credibility of the papers. So we try to target our publication, journal submission target, minimum with WS or Scopus. Okay, in terms of the way I go to for impact, me myself, I started at this stage, from the bottom and climb one by one, as you can see from my profile, and then try to achieve the level. Some staff they manage one, they graduate from PhD. Of course, they got very good mentorship, actually from the RU Research Institute. One they publish, one they complete their PhD, they just straight away to publish in Q1 and Q2 only. There are some of our staff who managed to do that. That's great. So in other words, you don't have to be great to start, but you have to start to be great. If we are unable to go for Q1, Q2, try to publish in Scopus. Try to publish, and then you try to climb stage by stage. If you consistent, if your momentum is still there, inshallah, you are able to achieve Q1, Q2. Publication as a pillar of academic impact, because now people talking about the visibility, they are talking about the what you call it, impact factor journal. They are also counting our H index. Even though we didn't disclose our H index, other people globally will know what is our H index and also our citation. Either we like it or not, we need to take care of this because it will give the impact on ourselves. When we talking, we want to progress further in our career. We need to take care of our publication and later on our H index and citation. And then try to have a key high impact publication and their usefulness in the real world applications. And then we need to have the collaborative teams either locally or internationally. And then try to target journal aligned with our research area, area field and all research niche. Because now in QS ranking or TH ranking, we had the subject area ranking. For example, we had the ICT subject area ranking, electrical electronic engineering, mechanical and manufacturing engineering. So we need to align our publication in that particular field or in our area so that it will also help the university and to help our faculty as well to have a better rating and ranking in that particular subject. Because we want to encourage many students, good students overseas, especially with the funding, with their own scholarship to come to UTEM. So by having that kind of good ranking or rating, either at the university ranking or subject ranking, it will help the good student, the great student from overseas to come to UTEM with their own scholarship. And then we are able to contribute to policy, industry, and so on. It depends on our field as well. For example, me and few my friends also work together with the what you call it, the MCMC, and the MMC, there's an agency called MTSSB, who develop the technical code for telecommunication industry. So our impact, our research can also provide the input to develop those policies or technical codes. And in addition to that, the impact of publication also, we sometimes we got opportunity to be invited as keynote speaker or editorial roles. And it can be our personal branding as well as a scholar lah. And of course promotion and also academic visibility. And again, as I mentioned earlier, and can be useful for university, especially when we're talking about the ranking and writing lah. Okay, in order to sustain long-term academic competitiveness, we need to probably be purpose, not just to meet KPI. KPI is just there. But we serve macam kita mengajar. Walaupun apa subjek tu khusus akan dibagi oleh ketua jabatan every semester. We need to think with purpose lah, not just to deliver or to fulfill requirement by the timetable. Similarly, for the publication, we need to probably with purpose. What is our purpose for publication? And if possible, let's focus on quality over quantity. If we are able, or if we have difficulty to publish for the quality journal, you can start with the quantity. Once you manage to publish, you got experience publishing in journal, and then you can move to the next level for the quality journal. The best way, we need to collaborate with our partner, research partner, either in Malaysia or international, especially international, because the international collaboration, if we have the affiliation for the international institute, it will also help our university in the QS and THV writing and ranking. And write consistently, revise with intention, and respond to feedback constructively. When we're talking about the reviewing journal we got the decision by the reviewers, and then we try to don't give up and try to respond those comments and try to submit to the other journal. If we got a major correction, it's okay, and try to discuss with our co-authorship, and then try to improve that particular paper, and we try to submit again. Mentor others. Student can be our mentee and also our friend, because student success is a reflection of our own. So either we like it or not, we got no choice. We need to mentor student properly, appropriately. Sometimes it's difficult to discuss this. I think this one we can discuss on other time when we're talking about the supervisions, that they other issue. There are another big issues or big topic we can discuss further. And we try to align our research with real world relevant and institutional goals. Okay, we have another 4 minutes I try to complete earlier. Okay, and then this is a takeaway. Be consistent and strategic in research publication. Don't wait for the perfect. If you got the result, if you think 70% okay, and then try to publish it. Especially for the FYP lah. Sometimes we see, the FYP result is not completed enough. It's not perfect enough. So sometimes we got no choice. We need to work together with students, and we try to publish the result. Publish the paper based on that result. Build network and collaboration locally and internationally. And invest time in mentoring young researchers and students. And treat rejection as redirection. Don't give up lah. We try to treat rejection as a stepping stone for us to have a better opportunity later on. And we try to balance KPI and meaningful impact. And lastly, we try to inspire others. Even though we are unable to inspire the big group of people, if we can inspire our close friend, our research group, and then it's sufficient. Especially we inspire our student, inspire our colleague of our close friend and our RG. That will be meaningful. But everyone has their own roles. If everyone can inspire the others, so all researcher at UTEN got inspired to to I mean to do a better thing at UTEN lah. So just sharing about my gallery this when I got the recorded the tak nampak pula. Okay, as in incentive penerbit journal at the time it was 35,000 Tadi for AAU. Tadi for when I went to Seoul for innovation exhibition competition. This one I was invited to be speaker at the Berita Bernama, and then I think this one APC lah. Just a few, and then I also send my student, for example, 2014, I sent my student for Innovate Malaysia in Penang, and 2021. Actually, the ceremony was in 2022. But the award is for 2021 as a top research scientist Malaysia by ASM mostly. Okay, lastly, when you empower yourself through meaningful research, you not only strengthen your academic profile, but you also empower your institutions, uplift your students, and inspire the next generation of scholars. So, lastly, pantah dah hujung ni, Malcolm Style. Ilmu dicari sepanjang zaman, jadi bekalan insan berjasa. Tulis dan terbit bukan sekadar saranan, tapi tanggungjawab kepada institusi dan negara. With that, saya ucap terima kasih pada student saya lah, dan juga collaborator saya dan lain-lain. Kerana they are my support lah sampai ke tahap ini. With that, thank you very much. Kalau ada soalan, if you got any questions, anything you want to share your experience, please feel free. Let me stop. Ada soalan tak? Okay. Kalau tak ada, saya pas balik pada ni, Puan Hasliza.